Broadcast coverage on the Region Sports Network is made possible by Pulse Technology, leading the way in technological innovation for over 70 years. Strack & Van Til, your favorite Indiana-made grocery store. Boilermakers Local 374. Earn while you learn. Visit Michigan City LaPorte. Closer than you think, better than you imagine. Ironworkers Local 395. Proud to be union. Crowell Insurance Company, the insurance superheroes. Bricklayers Local 4, the best hands in the business. Athletic Performance Factory, where athletes are made. IBEW Local 697, proud to support high school sports. American Testing Services, America's trusted name in NDT. Armor Construction, it's time to armor up. Wealth Partners on Main, a partner committed to your financial success. IBEW Local 531, the electrical professionals. Sentier Bank, family owned since 1895. HealthLink, your community health center. The Right Group, the right way to buy and sell real estate. KIG Senior Solutions, navigating Medicare with confidence. Economy Electric Heating and Cooling, keeping you cool in the summer and cozy in the winter. Blythe's Team Sports, where the athlete shops. And Hampton Inn downtown Indianapolis. This is the Region Sports Network, the only game in town.
Welcome in, everybody. Week 1 is here. We are live at the Diamond Plate Club at the Athletic Performance Factory. I'm Leo Stauder alongside my partner, Matt Skura. We are setting the stage here on the Region Sports Network's Tailgate show, getting you ready for all of the Week 1 action around the region. Matt, at long last, football season is finally here. When you think of Week 1, what are some of your memories, rituals, superstitions that come to mind?
Just getting the first game jitters out, all that stuff. Usually you had the Arama or the scrimmage, but a lot of teams didn't get that this week.
Right.
With the storms and all that stuff. They're just dealing with family issues and community issues, and that was more important at the time. Now it's time to get it on and hit some opposite team helmets and all that stuff.
Obviously, you want to win the opener. You want to win every game by a large score, keep the opposing score low, but it doesn't always go to plan when you have to work in a lot of new faces, players that might be playing different positions. How do you try to set the tone Week 1, knowing that it might not be the game plan that's going to work as the season progresses, but trying to set the bar in the first game?
Yeah, you have your plan that you're coming out, and you don't want to deviate it from the first quarter, so you'll see a lot of these first quarters of the games, they'll either be should be tight because defenses are a little bit ahead of some of the offenses, but a lot of these teams that we're going to be talking about here, their offenses are predominantly returning players, especially in the skilled positions. So those, you might see some high-scoring first quarters here now.
And certainly with how many, it seems like this year more than maybe some prior years, we do have a lot of returning quarterbacks. How does that help, knowing that you don't have to try to break in a new signal caller, that at least in that position of the offense, you have someone that knows the system and is up to speed?
Yeah, you have probably 70 to 80% of your offense already installed with a quarterback that has that knowledge. So now you can go into a little bit deeper in your playbook and work on some things that you might need later in the fall or something like that, or a late game situation where if you had a first-year quarterback, you'd still be working on, I don't want to say the basics, but smaller playbook early on in the season, where now you can open it up if you have to.
And we'll certainly touch on some of the key returners as we preview each game, but let's get right into it. Starting with some of the top games on our schedule, let's hit the ground running with a yearly game we see a lot of. Week 1, it's been a tradition here. Valparaiso going on the road to take on Penn. The Vikings, an uncharacteristic 2-8 year last year. While Penn on the other side, 11-1, fell to Fort Wayne Carroll in the regional round. What do you look for in this matchup?
It's always a tight game. It's always a battle. No matter how good or bad Valpo is, no matter how good or bad Penn is, it's always a close game. It's usually within 1 to 2 scores, 10 points, something like that. So, coming in, Penn's got a lot coming back. They got a lot of D1 prospects coming in. So it's a good test for Valpo, right to start the season. And, we'll see what they got coming back and what they can, all the new players stepping in, you get, jump into it right away.
And for that Viking group, they haven't beat their last win over Penn was in 2021, and they lost a close one, 21-13 last year. That 2-8 schedule, I felt, didn't tell the full story, as they played some very tough teams, especially early. They faced Penn, who only lost one game last year. They faced Chicago Brother Rice, a team that won state of Illinois. The Valpo historically plays that tough schedule. Is that a case of where if the losses pile up early, it might make things look worse than they might have actually been?
Yeah, you can say that. This isn't college football where if a coach is losing games, he's going to get fired. You're here, you're setting your schedule up for the playoffs. You want to play all these tough teams, so when you get to the playoffs, you're battle tested and ready to rock and roll.
And we'll see this year how that fares for the Vikings. As we keep moving along, we'll take a look at the Fairfield Falcons taking on the Calumet Warriors. Calumet, one of several schools in the area with a new head coach. Nick Testa takes over in his first year. A team that went 6-5 last year versus a Fairfield team that had 7 losses. With these new coaching staffs, how important is it week one trying to set the tone, set the standard as you try to establish your culture in a program?
Oh yeah, I mean it's definitely very important to establish that. And he's probably when he stepped onto that field, he's established a culture. This is what I want. This is what we're going to do. We're not screwing around. If you mess up, we're gonna go with it. But you're gonna follow my rules, where they may have been able to get away with. Some of the players been able to get away because they're the culture over at that school allows them to do that. But Nick's not going to put up with that. This is what we're doing. This is how we're going to do it. He's going to make sure that they learn life lessons along with playing football.
Yeah. As in Calumet, it seemed like they were a team last year, 6-5. They played in a lot of back and forth games, some close games. Almost were a spoiler at one point to Wheeler. I believe they had a very close game. So trying to see if maybe they could turn some of those close losses into some wins and trend upward this year.
Yeah, he'll definitely have them be a very disciplined team this year. Last year they had a ton of penalties that cost them some games, where I feel like this year coming in the games, they're going to be very disciplined and they're going to make other teams beat them. They're not going to beat themselves.
And moving things along, we see then our next matchup previewing Bishop Knoll going on the road to face the South Bend Riley Wildcats. The Warriors 2-8 last year, while the Wildcats 4-6. South Bend Riley has picked up wins in week one the last couple of years against Bishop Knoll. How do you try to change that tone as they're facing a team that's had their number recently?
Yeah, it's going to be tough for Bishop Knoll because it's just going to be a numbers game. South Bend Riley is a bigger school, probably have double the numbers that Bishop Knoll is going to have. So it's a matter of how gritty and how conditioned those players are and how bad they want to win.
In our next matchup, we'll see the John Glenn Falcons going on the road. Another team with a new head coach, Troy Sauceman, takes over as Boone Grove, a team that was 4-5 last season. In another traditional week one matchup, Boone Grove, their last win against Glenn was in 2019, so they're trying to flip the script against a Falcon team that defeated them 43-0 last year.
Yeah, John Glenn's been traditionally they're a very tough program over there in central Indiana, and it's going to be a tough one for Boone Grove, but they're playing at home, so they don't have that long travel, and if they're prepared, they're going to give John Glenn everything they can handle.
That having that home field advantage, especially in week one, that can be big for some of those kids making that first varsity start or earning that new position, switching the roles, getting a tough team, but having the advantage of playing in front of your home crowd, not having to take that bus ride, that could certainly be beneficial for Boone Grove. And in our next contest, we see a battle of two teams with new head coaches, the South Central Satellites, led by their new head man, and then the Wheeler Bearcats, with head coach Josh Vissing. This was a Wheeler team, 8-2 last year, lost to the eventual state champs in Andrean. They won in a shutout fashion, 52-0 over South Central last year. For Wheeler, a team that brings back their starting quarterback, Logan Fox. Talking about those returning quarterbacks, 1,200 yards for Fox and 14 touchdowns. How can we expect Wheeler to look with a new head coach?
I think they're going to pick up right where they left off. You got what helps out with the new coach is having your returning quarterback returning and some key players returning. So now you don't have to worry about it. You know they're going to pick up the system and they're going to go at that, and they'll be able to move on, keep that ball rolling, and hopefully we'll see a great matchup at the end of the year between Griffith and Wheeler.
Yeah, that was a Wheeler team that really impressed me when I saw them. I called that game against Griffith last year, and Griffith eventually pulled away, but that was a back-and-forth game where both offenses were really executing well. So I'm intrigued to see how Wheeler can make that jump this year, because they showed a lot of promise last year, and it helps when you bring back some of those key returners.
They also have the benefit of Andrean moving up 3A,
yeah.
So it's their sectional to lose right now.
And so Wheeler will definitely be a team we monitor. One more before we hit our first break. We have the Rensselaer Central Bombers against the Kankakee Valley Cougars. It was the Bombers who picked up the win in this matchup 28-21 a year ago. Kankakee Valley 2-9, while the Bombers were 9-3, another team that lost to Andrean in the sectional round. So you can see around the area teams maybe looking to see if that sectional is open, but these two teams trying to get rolling here in week one.
Yeah, that's another traditional game where they're good, big rivals there too. And Kankakee Valley's looking for a bounce back season. Get back up into that above 500 win column there. And Rensselaer, they're always slated in, pencil them in for 9-10 wins a year every year.
Kankakee Valley had a solid 2024 season, a little bit underwhelming last year, so we'll be looking to bounce back. As the coverage will continue to roll along here from the Athletic Performance Factory, we'll step aside. When we come back, we will be previewing some of the top matchups in this Week 1 slate. So stick around. You're watching the Tailgate Show on the Region Sports Network, the only game in town.
Get Pulse Technology on your team and score a touchdown with our managed print and copier services. Cover your bases with our IT and technology solutions, or hit a home run with our wide selection of office supplies. Scoreboards or AV solutions from Pulse Technology. That's a slam dunk. Or go for the grand slam with our office furniture and design services. Get in touch with us today. Pulse Technology, powering Indiana business since 1919.
Strack and Van Til for the win with 4 ways to save. Catch price drops on over 15,000 items and check the weekly ad for can't miss deals. Stack on the rewards program for digital coupons, points toward discounts and free products, and power up with our own brands. Keep your budget in the safety zone. Get the same great taste as national labels at lower prices. If you can't taste the difference, why pay the difference? Score big value with 4 ways to save at Strack and Van Til.
Thinking about what to do after high school? Consider a career with Boilermakers Local 374. As a Boilermaker apprentice, you'll earn while you learn. We offer excellent wages and benefits, and as part of our no-cost hands-on apprenticeship program, you'll learn from the best in state-of-the-art training centers and on the job. Become a union Boilermaker and get on your way to a great career. Find out more, visit www.local374.org or call 219-845-1000.
Hi, I'm Crowell Company's Lantern Man. If you're a contractor, it's my job to make your insurance coverage simple and affordable. Because I know time is money, I'll come to your business. Certificates and bonds are a snap. Wherever you are, whatever business you're in, we've got you covered. As Crowell Company's Lantern Man, I'm your insurance superhero.
Crowell Company's insurance professionals. Highland, Merrillville, and Michigan City.
We're back at the Athletic Performance Factory for the RSN Tailgate Show. Week 1 finally here. We talked about some of the games. There are plenty more to get through here, including the games we will have coverage of. We'll tell you about that as the day progresses. But we'll start with 2 teams trying to build some new cultures like we talked about. 2 teams with new head coaches, North Newton and Whiting. Trent Nider takes over for North Newton for the Spartans, and then Adam Hudak for the Oilers, as it was North Newton who picked up the win 31-12 last year, but this is a Whiting team that's looking to right the ship and start trending in the right direction, hosting the Spartans.
Yeah, Whiting's dominated this series. North Newton's, I think, won the last two. Whiting's had a couple down years there, bad stretch, but yeah, they're looking to change the culture out there. Get the numbers up with the new coach and start the season off on the right foot.
As that will be another theme here in this next game, another traditional rivalry that is features a program going in a new direction. The Highland Trojans going on the road to face Griffith Panthers. Number 5 in our RSN poll are the Panthers. Jimmy McCormack takes over as the interim head coach for Highland, a team that was 2-8 last year, but brings back some returning players, especially on that defensive side. Griffith picked up the win in 2025, 56-14, but Highland don't have to go back far to find their last one against the Panthers, 27-23, 2 years ago in 2023. So Highland now going on the road to face Griffith, a team that was very solid last year, making it 9-2 on the year, a loss to Knox in the sectional round. This could be a big chance for a new Highland staff to try to prove themselves against the traditional rival.
Yeah, it's going to be a very difficult task for Highland's defense tonight. Griffith's got a ton of returners. I think they got 10 seniors coming back that have significant playing time. Very big offensive line. Got a quarterback that'll sling the ball all over the field. He's a 4-year starter there. So Griffith's offense is going to be looking to be clicking early and scoring early and often in that game. And, it's a tough task for Highland, but I'm sure he's going to have those guys up to it.
Yeah, Ryan Bouillon, a quarterback that definitely really impressed a lot last year, and that familiarity of being a multi-year starter, having gone through the doing it as an underclassman, and now you probably now as a senior have to feel so comfortable with him out there as that just extra familiarity of a 4-year starter at arguably the most important position.
Yeah, most definitely. And he's been there for this is his 4th year starting, and the last 3 years it's always after your last game it's I got next year. Well, there is no next year now.
Right.
You got to put it all on the line, and you got to lay it all out there, and look forward to that huge sectional matchup, possibly against Andrean. Hopefully that'll line up where if they do play each other, it'll be for the championship. We've had several years of great Andrean Griffith games, and hopefully something like that will happen again this year.
Yeah. As we keep things moving along here, next item of business is Hammond Central, a team with another new head coach. Rick Bailey will look to try to take things back in the right direction after the Wolves 0-10 last year. They will be on the road in South Bend, taking on the South Bend Washington Panthers, who were 2-8 last year. So this could be a chance for either team to try to trend in the right direction. It was the Panthers who got the win last year in shutout fashion, but prior to that, Hammond Central had won the last 3.
Yeah, Hammond Central's had some rough years. They've got a lot of turnover in their coaching. Hopefully we can get some stability here, and he'll be here for multiple years. I feel like he wants this to be a place where he can stay for a while and get that culture set up where you can bring back Hammond football.
And they return, just like some of the teams we've highlighted. Jaquel Jackson, their starting quarterback. Jackson threw for 1,200 yards, 9 touchdowns last year. So when you have a new coaching staff, that has to be a boost as well, knowing that you have at least that part of the equation figured out a little bit. Knowing that you don't have to have that position group battle at quarterback or some of these other spots. And in our next game, it's a team that impressed a lot in the Duneland last year, going 8-4. Michigan City playing on the road at Hanover Central, who checks in in the 10th spot in our poll. This can be a big test for Charles Sallery and his staff. Team that picked up the win over Hanover last year. Hanover 4-6 in 2025, but they were a team that really had an impressive 2024 season as they look to try to get back on that trajectory.
Yeah, Hanover Central's got some key returners also. I saw Bolkamos coming back and a couple other key players for them. Michigan City, another team with another new coaching staff, which seems to be the theme this year. He'll have them straightened out, lined up, ready to go, ready to ready to put up some offensive points for these guys. And if they can get that, if Michigan City can get that defense clicking, they're going to be tough in the DAC.
That was what it seemed like last year, Michigan City, where they were able to really get a ton of turnovers in games. That playoff game against Valparaiso where they had multiple interceptions, that can be something that can be tough to replicate, but still if you do those little things right, that having a strong defense that doesn't go out of style.
Right. And Coach Salary will have them more ready, disciplined. The DBs will be ready to jump on balls and things like that and use their athleticism.
And as we talked about, the weather impacting things around the region as things are trying to get back on track. We have a few games that will be pushed from Friday to Saturday, and let's take a look at one of those. It'll be the South Newton Rebels going on the road at the Lake Station Eagles. Lake Station 6-4 a year ago. South Newton 3-7. It was the Eagles who won 42-6 in the opener last year before ultimately falling to Wheeler in the sectional round.
Yeah, Lake Station looks to keep that winning tradition going there. They had a winning season last year. I think 6 wins was the first time they had that in a long time. They want to keep that going. They had some success, and they want to build on that.
Another Saturday matchup, River Forest with their new head coach, Terrence Terry. Team that was 4-6 last year, facing East Chicago Central, a 4-7 team. But East Chicago Central, they had that high-flying offense last year. They were that instant classic 58-56 triple overtime game against Highland in the sectionals last year before being shut out by Lowell in the following game. For an East Chicago team that put a lot of points on the board last year, how can they try to replicate it now in 2026?
Yeah, I think 2026, the offense will be clicking now. It's just focusing on defense and getting that key stop. If they can get that key stop, one stop will lead into 2 stops, and they'll be up 2 touchdowns or something like that. Then they can run the ball and run some clock or whatever.
Yeah, because, I mean, going back to that playoff game, 58-56, that's a fun game for a fan. That's a fun game if you're playing the video games maybe, but for a coaching staff.
Pulling your hair out as a coaching staff, especially a defensive coordinator.
And so they will look to try to prevent those video game-like numbers on the defensive side. And one last Saturday game. This is another one of our local matchups. We'll have Lake Central and Munster meeting on the gridiron Saturday. The Mustangs 4-7, Lake Central 3-7 last year, now going into their 3rd year with Pete Koulianis. We've talked a lot about the first-year head coaches, but now you look at a program like Lake Central in that 3rd year post-coaching change. That's where kind of the culture has been set a little bit. You have kids that are now juniors that have been with the staff for 3 years. Seniors have that familiarity.
You're right. That junior class has been with that coach for all 3 years, so they understand what he wants and the culture that he's set and all that stuff. I'm looking for Wes Lalich to have a big year this year behind center, coming back from that injury. Yeah. They look ready to go. I expect Lake Station, top half of Lake Central, top half of the Duneland this year.
Because they were a team last year, I saw them a few times, that you saw a lot of potential there, where they were able to get creative, to find ways to move the ball at times. Maybe couldn't do it every drive, but I saw them both against Crown Point and against Merrillville, and there were points where they had each of those 2 top teams on the ropes a little bit, but then those teams separated them. So if they can find a way to play a complete game, they can go set.
You're exactly right there. You said complete game. I've watched them. They played a really good half here, really good half there, but they need to play a full 4 quarters to beat a Crown Point, to beat a Merrillville team, and to get into that top half. But they're going to be competing with Michigan City and Valpo and LaPorte for that 3 spot, even Chesterton. That 3, 4, 5 spot right there.
Yeah, zooming out big picture real quick about the Duneland, where do you see, so obviously you have the 2 top teams at the top, Crown Point, Merrillville, but that next tier, who do you see kind of shaking out in that group?
Yeah, I mean, just going off of what we saw last year and what teams have coming back, I expect Chesterton, Lake Central to be in that 3, 4 spot, Valpo, Michigan City, even Michigan City up in that 3, 4 area, 5 area. Portage is going to we'll see what they had. They struggled with it a lot last year. Hopefully they can turn it around. But you got 3 or 4 teams that any given Friday night, somebody could win that game, and then that could be from a 7th place finish to a 3rd place finish by just winning 1 or 2
That's
games.
what intrigues me a lot about the Duneland in particular is who can be that team that can separate themselves and try to get into that next spot. And I think there's a lot of potential with these teams, and we'll continue to monitor that as the season goes on. We will take another break. When we come back, we will preview some of the other top games around the region, including ones that you can find on all of our platforms. So stick around. You're following the RSN Tailgate Show on the Region Sports Network, the only game in town.
From lighting up Friday night football to powering the classrooms that shape the students of Lake County, IBEW Local 697 is proud to support our region's schools and the communities we call home. A career as a union electrician could be your next great move. Your next cap might be a hard hat. IBEW Local 697, powering futures, powering the region.
Earn while you learn from the best hands in the business. The Bricklayers Allied Craft Workers for Indiana, Kentucky Apprenticeship. That's right, this is a paid apprenticeship.
I'm getting an education while learning a trade and getting paid for it.
The thing that surprised me the most about this apprenticeship program is the respect I've received after the proper time and training.
Classes start soon, so apply now. There are training centers throughout Indiana and Kentucky. We are the Bricklayers and Allied Craft Workers for Indiana, Kentucky Apprenticeship. The best hands in the business.
At American Testing Services, based in Hobart, Indiana, we specialize in NDT drone inspections and heat treatment services for local mills, fab shops, and facilities across the country. From Northwest Indiana to nationwide, we deliver precision, safety, and reliability. American Testing Services, America's trusted name in NDT.
Your future starts here.
We're back, getting you ready for week 1 here at the Athletic Performance Factory. It's the RSN Tailgate Show, and now time to take a look at the games that we will be having on our airwaves, on our streaming platforms, so to speak. Let's start with a team from the Duneland that will look to build off of last year. The LaPorte Slicers going on the road to play New Prairie. LaPorte 4-7 last year. They fell in a close one, 28-21 to Michigan City in the sectional round, and then New Prairie 3-7 last year, lost in lopsided fashion to Hobart. LaPorte's a team that intrigues me because they bring back one of the potential top game changers in the area in Reed Raymond, kind of that do-it-all player last year. Played some quarterback, some running back, and defense as well. So it could be a case where Raymond could be a player that really sets the tone for the Slicers.
Yeah, I like to see LaPorte turning it around because they, in the late 90s and 2000s and stuff like that, they had a strong program, and they're getting back to that.
Yeah, and certainly Kiwanis Field, one of my favorite places around the area to see a game. That's a bit of a hidden gem of a field where a good game night atmosphere, and the Slicers will look to build up on that. And I remember there was a game we called last year. They fell to Valparaiso. It was a little out of reach. It might have been 28-7, 35-7, but we saw the seniors from LaPorte still really finishing their tackles, going hard at the end. And Doug Nelson pointed out that is a sign of a good culture with the program. If you got the seniors still trying at the end of a game they're losing, where that sets the message then for the sophomores and the juniors, and we'll see if that builds.
I kind of feel like that senior class that just graduated from LaPorte was one that set that culture for the younger kids.
Yeah.
And this is how we're doing things. And hopefully that these next few groups can carry that on for them.
That's definitely a matchup I'll be intrigued to follow this year. We'll have some coverage of that one. LaPorte won the matchup last year, 32-14. So keeping things moving along. Let's talk about the Battle of Broadway, because it takes on a new look this year. Andrean and Merrillville meeting. It was supposed to be at Demery Stadium, but now it's flipped. It's going to be at Andrean. First time since 1996 they played this matchup at Andrean's campus. And you just think about where Andrean was, how affected they were by the storms a couple of months ago, that they are now ready to host the game week 1. That's a great message, and these are two teams that finished their season in Indianapolis last year. Pirates, the runners-up in Class 5A, they'll be jumping up to 6A, and the 59ers, state champs in the 2A level, they'll be jumping up to the party in 3A this year. So a big matchup between two teams that picked up hardware last season.
Yeah, and both of them are going to be contenders again this year in their respective classes. Andrean, very strong defense coming into this year. A lot of returners there with Reyna coming back.
Yeah.
Strong Division I prospect for a linebacker. Quality running backs coming back for Andrean. Returning quarterback for Andrean. So, and this game's going to be Andrean's defense versus Merrillville's offense.
Yeah. And looking at that some more, we saw for Andrean, they have Dylan Gore. He'll take over the reins as the main starter last year. It was interesting how they were able to incorporate him a lot last year with you had Elish, but then they were able to use Gore a lot. He threw for 930 yards last season, and then Reyna playing both sides. He could be a game changer when he gets the ball out of the backfield, but he's even just as impactful on the defensive side. And then you have Tyler Vo, another player who feels like he's been around forever going into his junior year at the receiving corps. So having so many experienced players that know what it takes to win a state championship, that could go a long way for this Andrean group that's trying to beat Merrillville for the first time since 2017.
Yeah. The biggest issue is going to be the numbers. How many players is Andrean playing both ways? Merrillville, I doubt they'll play one player both ways. I don't think they had that all last year. They might have one or two players playing both ways last year. But, you got 11 fresh guys on offense and defense every series, where Andrean may have 3 or 4 guys going both ways. And we'll see who's in better shape, Michael Hill, again, one of the top quarterbacks in the area, if not the state.
Yeah.
He's returning. He's got his running back, Jordan, coming back.
Yeah.
Very young receiving core, though, so we'll see how that plays out. But
that was the interesting thing about Merrillville last year. After they had a few heartbreakers in the semi-state round, they finally get over that hurdle and then fall to New Palestine in state. And it seemed like the way they were able to do it, with Hill throwing for 3,200 yards, 28 touchdowns. They had J.Q. Johnson, who now moves up to the college level, but Cam Jordan, who they were able to use as that running back receiver hybrid last year. People forget he's a player that rushed for 1,000 yards as a sophomore, so he could be right at home in that backfield as well. But they graduated a lot from that defense, and that's where I wonder how long does that take to develop when you don't have a lot of returning starters on the defensive side of the ball?
Yeah, it could be a problem for them, but again, if these guys play aggressive on defense, you can make up for lack of experience by just being aggressive and attacking.
And so that will be a fun matchup to take in. We will have one of our great camera ops going out there to capture some highlights and record content for the socials. So we'll move along to another game that we will have on our platforms. Taking a look at the Hobart Brickies going on the road to face the Chesterton Trojans. 2 teams in our top 10 rankings. Hobart in the 4th spot, Chesterton at the 8th spot. Michael Brandner and Doug Nelson will have the call for us on the Region Sports Network. This is a Hobart team. We've talked about some of these groups where they've had classes that have been playing together as underclassmen that feel like they might be due. Alex Tatum now going into his 3rd year as a starter feels like that might be the year where Hobart could really take a deep run after they fell to South Bend St. Joseph in the regional championship last year.
Yeah, that Hobart football traditions looks like it's back now.
Yeah.
And, when you can have multiple year starters every year, that just helps you keep that rolling and keep that win totals hovering around 10, 11, 12 games every year, going deep into the playoffs.
And they're, just like we talked about with Lake Central, in the 3rd year with Eric Schreiber Jr. as the head coach. So now players know what to expect from him. They know the scheme. You can add to that scheme too now in year 3.
Right.
So this feels like a year where Hobart could really build off of what they did last year at 10-3.
Yeah, you can open an offense up a little bit more. You can open the defense up a little bit more. you get the third year and having players play with you multiple years and understanding your schemes and concepts and all that stuff, you can do more with some of these players.
Hobart took the win in this matchup last year, 20-3, but then Chesterton had a 37-9 win in 2024. We'll see who breaks through in 2026. A couple more games to go. We have the next game that will be on the Region Sports Network. It's the number 7 ranked Morton Governors taking on the Portage Indians. Portage 0-10 last year, but they bring in Cody French as the head coach, looking to try to right the ship. We'll have Quincy Bell and Chris Figg on the call for that one. Morton won in the season opener last year, 35-7, but Portage, a team that feels like if they can get some stability in that program, they could really have something going there.
Oh, yeah, definitely. You got a high-powered Morton Governor offense going up against Portage, and Portage just needs, if they can slow them down and methodically move the ball downfield, they got a shot at winning that game, but you got a sophomore quarterback in Morton. Quarterback played last year. They got a Division I prospect at wide receiver. They're going to be tough to beat for Portage.
So Morton checking in at number 7 in our top 10 poll. They'll look to pick up back-to-back wins against Portage, as now looking at one of the last game on our slate. It's the number 9 ranked Lowell Red Devils against the number 1 ranked Crown Point Bulldogs. Kevin Relator, Jay Simmons, they'll have the call for that one. Crown Point has won the last few in this traditional Week 1 matchup, 38-7 last year. The last win for the Red Devils was in 2020. That was before Craig Vizia took over the program for Crown Point. What do you look forward most in this one?
Crown Point's defense, see how they respond after graduating a ton on the defensive side of the ball. And Crown Point's offensive line. They got a bunch of new starters on the offensive line, too. So skill positions are back. They got all the returning running backs, returning quarterback, returning backup quarterback that's playing tight end now in Mulaski.
That's
a lot of experience there, but not meaningful experience.
A good point about the quarterback situation at Crown Point. Not to call it a situation, but they were rolling last year, and there were some games where they had as many as 5 different players take snaps on the backfield. They'd use Gibbs as a Wildcat quarterback. They had Mulaski. They had Custy. Summers took snaps, the freshman who was also started as a linebacker. Now that they seem to commit to Custy, a Lindenwood recruit, as their quarterback 1, how does that then set some potential comfort level for that offense, knowing this will be the guy taking the snaps almost every play?
Yeah, and with that staff, last year they probably sat both those guys down and told them it's not a knock against either of you. We're going to go with whoever's hot, or this is our plan for the game, and these kids rolled with it. And now Custy stepped up, and he's the guy over there. Mulaski is going to get time at tight end, and I'm sure he's that big 6'7" frame to throw to. They got another Division I tight end in Keller. That So I mean, there's still Division I players all over the field for Crown Point. It's just a matter of putting it all together for this group of guys.
Yeah.
There's going to be a lot of new starters on defense, a lot of guys that have had time, but it's meaningful time.
And as we see with Mulaski and Keller, that having 2 pass-catching tight ends, that seems to be something that doesn't go out of style. That you look at so many of the NFL offenses where now you want to have not 1 but 2 tight ends. So Crown Point incorporating some of that. But last year, the story for Crown Point was they had to replace a lot of faces on offense. Now it felt like that was a very veteran defense last year before they fell to Penn in the sectional round last year. Now you have to work in some new groups on the faces on the other end of the ball.
Right. I mean, you lose a Division I linebacker in Gibbs.
Yeah.
Some strong defensive linemen, but the Clark triplets are going to be.
Yeah.
They're very strong players. They'll be out there, and even Lowell's got their running back in Timothy James, and he was a very tough running back. And I believe their quarterback's returning too, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, we'll check with some of the guys on the site for that as well. Certainly, we'll find out in a little bit.
Even if he is a new guy, they're still going to be strong offensively.
And that seems to be one of the a match with 2 top 10 teams. If Lowell trying to be that team that can finally be the spoiler to Crown Point in the regular season, as they've just done so well in the early games these past few years. So we'll see if maybe Lowell could be the team that has some tricks up their sleeves and puts one in the loss column.
Yeah, I was going to say, it wouldn't surprise me if they try to pull out all the stops here first week of the season. But they got high expectations, too. They're looking at making a run for the sectional championship, regional championship here in 4A.
Yeah.
And they got a good enough team to do it. They just got to get through Hobart.
Yeah, they were 9-3 last year, fell to Hobart 35-14 in the sectional. That was an entertaining game, too. We called that one. But we'll see. As we look big picture now, what game or games are you most excited to follow tonight?
The Andrean Maryville one and then the Crown Point Lowell one. Those are probably going to be the two most exciting games, but I can, you could also say the Crown Point Lowell game might get away early, but those are the two I'm looking forward to seeing. Valpo Penn should be an exciting game also.
And so we will get ready to throw it to our guys in the booths across the region, wherever you are tuning in to Region Sports. We hope you have a great week one. We finally made it. Football is back. To everyone involved with the production of this Tailgate show, we thank you. Starting with our management team, Executive Producer Chris Ramirez, Operations Director Rich Castillo, Sports Director Mike Dewan, Matt Kaufman doing a great job producing for my partner Matt Skura. I'm Leo Staudaher. Saying thank you for following the RSN Tailgate show on the Region Sports Network, the only game in town.
Welcome to Diamond Plate, your new go-to sports bar with a casual vibe and elevated ballpark favorites. Dig into hand-breaded chicken tenders, juicy burgers, build your own pizzas, and don't forget our full bar stocked with local favorites and everyday classics. Located inside Athletic Performance Factory. Diamond Plate brings the fun with multi-sport simulators, duck pin bowling lanes, plus party space for birthdays, holidays, company outings, and fundraisers. Diamond Plate, where every bite, every sip, and every play is a win.
Calling all current and future homeowners in the Northwest Indiana area. Whether you're buying or selling, Brent Wright is here to make your real estate journey smooth and successful. With years of experience, personalized service, and a deep knowledge of the market, Brent will help you find the perfect place or get the best deal for your property. Call today at 219-406-7195 and take the first step toward your real estate goals. Contact Brent Wright, the right way to buy and sell real estate.
With electrical services from Economy Electric Heating and Cooling, you can radiate the perfect amount of light and energy into your home. From rewiring and code upgrades to ceiling fans, lighting, security, and more, Economy Electric Heating and Cooling's trained electricians will make sure you can enjoy your home on full power all the time. For a free estimate on electrical work, call Economy Electric Heating and Cooling at 219-923-4441, and you can visit them on the web at 4ajobdoneright.com. That's the number 4ajobdoneright.com.
Every great football game is shaped long before the final drive. It's built through preparation, discipline, and a plan. Retirement is no different. The closer you get, the more important every decision becomes. At Wealth Partners on Main, we help you build a personalized retirement strategy, so when you approach your retirement red zone, you can move forward with confidence. Because the best outcomes aren't left to chance. They're planned. Wealth Partners on Main, your home team for retirement.